Okay, page 181 gives us an example, and I'm going to discuss the name here. They use the create sequence statement. The name they chose to give to their sequence is a good naming convention. The name of the table, the name of the field or column that will receive the values, and then the 3-character suffix SEQ telling us that this is a sequence object. So we know the sequence belongs to the orders table. We know that the values will be inserted into the order number column. And if we did a select on all objects in the table, or we looked at all objects in the table, we know it's a sequence. It's not a table. It's not an index. It's a sequence. Now they chose to include an increment by clause, but because they chose to increment by 1, kind of unnecessary because the default is 1. However, they chose to use a start with clause because they did not want to start with the default value of 1. They wanted to start with 1021. This particular example says no cash, so the numbers will be issued one at a time, and they also chose to no cycle so that the numbers are never reused. Okay, you can do a query on the user underscore sequences. This is a, I think it's safe to use the word intrinsic table. The user underscore sequences is a built-in table, or the phrase they use is it's a data dictionary view. So it's not something you build, it's something that Oracle automatically builds as soon as you create a sequence. And actually, it might already exist, but doesn't have anything in it until you create a sequence. So the user underscore sequences is a data dictionary view that keeps track of all of the sequences that are created. Notice that the columns within the user sequences view. Okay. Here's the next number to issue. Okay, the NextVal keyword is used to generate the next value from this sequence. It's used typically in an insert statement. We're going to insert a record into the orders table, and so they've provided all the column names. And remember, the example created a sequence to generate values for the orders column. So in the values clause, instead of putting in the value 1021, you reference the sequence name and then a dot and then the keyword NextVal. Then the next value is inserted into the order number field for that particular record in the orders table. All right. The curval contains the last integer generated. So you could use the curval keyword also, and that's discussed on page 184. Okay. You can use an alter sequence command to change the settings for a sequence, but know that you cannot change the start with value. If you feel that you absolutely need to change the start with value, then you simply have to drop the sequence and create a new one. Of course, once you drop it, then you can recreate it using the same name. Okay. Changes cannot make current integers invalid. Okay, so in other words, if you've used the sequence already and it has issued numbers, then you make changes to it. It's not going to change the values that have already been generated and inserted into records. Page 186 has an example of the alter sequence command. If you want to get rid of a sequence, if you want to remove it from your database schema, use the drop sequence command. Again, just because you drop the sequence doesn't mean the values that have been previously generated and used are dropped. They're not affected. They still remain in the table. Page 188 has an example of a drop sequence statement.